All right, my friends, please listen up. This is an emergency alert. We are about to tear each other apart limb from limb as this acrimony between East, West, right, left, black, white, Jew, non-Jew ensues. This is on a scale that I've never before seen in my life. In the span of 2 weeks, you have people storming the Capitol who just 2 years ago were criticizing the people that were storming the Capitol then. This is off the charts. We are just but one misstep away from complete civil disorder as a result of what we are seeing. And it is insane to see the same people who were on the other end of that gun just for the last couple of years already turn it on their opposition. And they're loving every minute of it. And an eye for an eye makes the world go blind, which is why I'm about ready to pack shit up and head out to the grid. And I'm not even kidding. I'm not even being facetious anymore. I'm about ready to pack it in, because I seriously don't know how much longer we have. Now, what you're seeing behind me here, this man just made an announcement today that connected pretty much every dot that I needed connecting. Because this is what I said 2 weeks ago when Biden commissioned those strike carrier groups to head to the Eastern Mediterranean. I knew instantly what this was all about, and I made note of it on numerous occasions. You can go back and look at the videos. I said that this was all in an effort to get closer to Russia, bring them closer to the Black Sea. What's been going on in the Black Sea? What's been going on in Ukraine? Well, you're starting to hear a little bit more about it. It is starting to get a little bit more market share in the news cycle as of recent, as people are already tiring of the massive war that's about to ensue in Lebanon, and it is going to be a big war. They have 2 strike carrier groups that are going to be there, plus they're sending one of their most sophisticated warships, command and control ships. And this is incredibly important. And this is why this guy is behind me today. Because today, Putin comes out and says, in response to the United States putting its forces in this strategic provocation by putting its forces near the Black Sea, because remember, they're right down here. Now, near is relative. They're about 1,000 kilometers away. But just imagine if Russia, for perspective, had their, warships right around here. Okay, they're warships that obviously have nuclear weapons on them. So this is a problem. So what Russia said today is, okay, we see your warships and we raise you 24/7 MiG-31s armed with nuclear-tipped Kinzhal missiles. Now, they didn't say the nuclear tip part, but you can bet that that was the veiled threat. Because as they see the U.S. encroaching on its interests in Syria and Aleppo, that Israel has been bombing heavily and more with greater and greater frequency and more intensity in the past few days, as well as Lebanon to get them into this war, they know that their interests are at risk. So this is sending a message. This is about 2 things. This is about strategic defense. This is about putting them on notice that we can take out and we can sink an aircraft carrier, because we know you're probably going to have nuclear weapons on it. I'm certain that there's a nuclear contingency on all these ships, I would presume. Obviously, you have the deployment systems with the F-35s and the F-16s. So Russia is clearly sending a message here. This is a move, okay? And now why this is such an important move? Because today, the first use of ATACMS, the long-range weapon systems that are going to be targeting the Kerch Bridge. This is the big play. They're going to be trying to logistically destroy the connection with Crimea, because they're still itching for that. They're coming over the Kherson, the left bank of the Dnieper River. Apparently that was unsuccessful. You don't need to know all the details. You just need to know that this is still the big play. Okay, the Middle East is a bigger play from an economic point of view. And, this whole Israel stuff, I think they're just using the Israeli people as pawns in this whole grand scheme of things. Yes, the Middle East is going to have huge economic repercussions, especially when I tell you what's going on in Iran today. Because if Iran decides to embargo Israel, and if countries start embargoing each other, and then you have different Middle Eastern countries getting involved in this and forced to take a side, then you very well could see energy disruptions. That's going to lead to skyrocketing prices throughout the Middle East. Now, but this is very important to take note of. This should not be underestimated. This putting 24/7 MiG-31s, Kinzhal, on alert, okay? And you can tell by Putin's posture, this is always the posture that he assumes when he's kind of making a threat towards the United States. He kind of moves around a bit, kind of moves his head a little bit, and you could tell that he's serious, right? So you know that he's deadly serious about this, and this is not just a posturing thing. This is actually a strategic move to put these MiG-31s on 24/7 watch. Now, why is it so important? Well, it's important because that I mentioned that they're carrying around the nuclear briefcase a lot more often. That was spotted today when he went to visit Xi Jinping in China, which he's saying is becoming more of a strategic alliance as well as North Korea. Now, this is what's happening in the Black Sea right now. They're going to do it. Something's going to go down. My main man, Gerald Celente, claims, and this guy is so accurate in his predictions, man. He's so accurate in his he predicted that gold was going to bottom at 1850. 1830, he predict when the market's going to, oh man, Gerald Celente, hats off to you, sir. I salute you. Now, our main suspect here, RCQ-4 or RQD-2, whatever the hell it's called, Global Hawk reconnaissance plane, it is surveying this area because shit's going to go down. Anyway, Celente claims that they're going to do some sort of big event that's going to bring attention back to Ukraine because now Biden's vying for $100 billion, $60 billion is going to Ukraine, and $40 billion is going to Israel. $40 billion. $40 billion. Can you imagine that? $40 billion. Turkey's entire defense budget, the biggest military in Europe, their budget is going to be $40.5 billion this year for the entire year. This is insane levels of stuff. You know a civilization is on the brink of collapse when they've accumulated $600 billion in debt in the past month and they are still spending like there's no tomorrow. My friends, this ship is sinking. It is sinking fast. They're about to do something here. Russia is putting its MiG-31s out here. They're probably going to shoot this down. Not going to waste a Kinzhal on it, but they're going to take it down because they're now worried that with these ATACMS that Ukraine has, they're going to start targeting the infrastructure that would allow the facilitation of logistics over into Crimea. So man, shit could pop off on multiple fronts. The Chinese are about to take advantage of this situation. I'm sure of it. They already have numerous incursions, as reported by Taiwan, over the Taiwan Strait. So you know things are about ready to pop off there. Well, North Korea is incredibly antagonized right now by the presence of American nuclear weapons around South Korea, okay, and Japan. So my goodness, things could just, any day now, things could just be unrecognizable and never go back to the way they were before. Right now, they're evacuating villages around Galilee. Galilee is like a province, I guess, in Israel, the northern part of Israel that borders Lebanon. That war is baked into the cake. Biden is saying, don't worry, Hezbollah. We're not going to, like they're trying to telegraph, like, just come on in. We're not going to send troops. Don't worry. We're just going to lob hundreds and thousands of missiles at you from these dozens of massive, world's most advanced warships that we have sitting off the coast. It's like they're trying to bait them into a fight. Now, Russia placing its MiG-31s there is sending a message. What kind of message? Does this mean that they're going to come to the aid of Syria at some point? Does this mean that Israel is poking its nose around Syria too much and Putin is making a show of force that, hey, if you keep pushing, we're going to actually do something with these Kinzhal missiles? Is that what this is? I don't know, but something big is brewing. There's a bigger picture at play here, and this is exactly what I warned about. The big play is getting these warships closer to Russia. Now, this one in particular is very important. The U.S., after sending 2 aircraft carriers and their battle groups, is also sending the USS 6th Fleet flagship command and control ship, the USS Mount Whitney. Now, what's special about this ship, might you ask? Well, Mount Whitney is the most advanced command and control, coordination, communication, and intelligence ship ever built. I wonder if that could have some strategic utility. I wonder if all of this is part of the reason why we're seeing insane levels of military activity around the world. Armed fighter jets flying around the United States on a regular. That's called a very high DEFCON level, folks, or low DEFCON level. I wish they would just, put the DEFCON, reverse it, so 5 is nuclear war and not 1. Anyways, you know what I mean. Mount Whitney can transmit and receive large amounts of secure data to and from anywhere on Earth via HF, UHF, VHF, and SHF satellite communications. Ask yourself, why the hell would they need this ship there? Really? Why would you need that ship if you're just getting ready to fight Lebanon and Syria? Something ain't right, folks. I'm telling you, something ain't right. And you look at the madness and the hysteria and the acrimony between both of these sides, fervent supporters on either side vociferously arguing their point in a never-ending death spiral that just gets worse and worse and worse. And you have to ask yourself, is that a distraction? Is it really a distraction? I mean, is this storming of the embassies and Israel calling all its people home from abroad, is there something else going on here? Really? Because it was so sudden. 2 weeks ago, none of this was in the news. Absolutely none of it was in the news. And today we're literally tearing ourselves apart in the streets. You have people calling for the crackdown on the same civil rights that they had violated over the past 3 years. Just like that, like a flick of a switch. And I'm telling you, it is scary because people got a bloodlust right now, the likes of which I've never seen before. It's like in times of austerity and hardship, people just want to see death and destruction. And that is very terrifying. I'm deadly serious when I say this. I am about ready to pack things up and just stop doing this. Because, and I'm not even speaking facetiously or I'm being actually 100% with you guys. I'm about ready to throw in the towel. Because this situation can spiral out of control so vast. When Israel does finally invade Gaza, understand that hospital, that was just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, that was one hospital. Now, okay, let's not get into the debate about who done it. Okay, because we're just not going to go there. Because I know somebody is going to be in the comment section talking about that. Man, look, we can take ourselves around in circles. There's good, compelling arguments on both sides. Airburst, JDAMs, jets flaring out, and the other side. Okay, but understand that the dominant force typically controls the narrative, and that's a bias that people have to factor in to their analysis of the situation. Most people won't, by and large, because there's this overwhelming wave on both sides, admittedly, of propaganda which attempts to form a critical mass of social opinion. So what you have happen on social media, I'm taking a little deviation here, what you have happen is that you have these troll farms, these armies, these NAFO crowds, which try to ship the narrative because they know, in social psychology, we know if you see enough people believing something, you will take it as a fact. Okay, it's just the old Ash experiments, the different lines, the sizes, and they could convince like half the people to think that the lines are the same size, even though they aren't because of social pressure, even though people are thinking, just something about this just ain't right. Guys, I'm telling you, regardless of that situation, that was just the tip of the iceberg. People aren't going to remember that in the next couple weeks. That's going to be old news because the division, the sacking of the embassies, the fighting of the streets, it is going to get crazy because there's some people, unfortunately, who want nothing more than to fight these people in the streets. And look at how fast we were divided. Look at the divide and conquer. They're going to run experiments on this. And this is what you see with the quickening, okay? There was a time when it took a little time to get people divided. That took some really finely tuned social engineering. Now, overnight, like these festering, dormant disputes that perhaps have lied latent for some time have just come to the surface and exploded in rage. What brings tens of thousands of people. People say it was the hospital. The hospital was just the tip of the iceberg, okay? That was just the flashbulb moment, the inflection point, but everything, it was like a volcano that was building under the surface, and that was just, if it wasn't that, it would be something else. But man, oh man, we are on the brink. I keep thinking of that Dawn of the Dead intro, when the man comes around, Johnny Cash. He hit it on the head there, didn't he? Jesus. Jesus. People keep telling you, you need Jesus in your life. Well, I may not have a choice at some point. What else is going on in the world? We got to talk about Iran's nuclear weapons. Oh yeah, this is the storming of the Israeli embassy in Amman, Jordan. I don't think Jordan has much time left with U.S. warplanes in it, man. I think that country, the King Abdullah, even today they came out and said that if the West Bank is messed with, or if there is some sort of annexation of the West Bank or some expelling of people from the West Bank, that's going to be a declaration of war, which are very different coming from Jordan, who the monarchy there is pretty much in bed with the U.S.-Israel cabal, okay? So for them to say that means that this movement that we're seeing behind us here has a lot of pull. There's a lot of Palestinians, the Palestinian diaspora in Jordan, and if they lose that, then the U.S. is in trouble, because that's one of their launching points, one of their staging grounds. Let me just show you the map here. It's one of their staging grounds for, attacks into Iraq, into Damascus, Iraq. Of course, the embassy was attacked today. All kinds of war flaring up in Syria. Israel has been bombing Lebanon. I'm pretty sure this is why the Russians put those MiG-31s on 24-hour notice with their armed Mach 9 Kinzhal missiles that can be nuclear tipped. Speaking of nuclear weapons, what do we got going on here? We got to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the Iranian nuclear program. My friends, this is the big elephant in the room here, isn't it? Iran. How powerful is Iran? Well, they have a very large population. If it was not for the sanctions, Iran would easily be in the G20. These are not a stupid people. They are very intelligent. They are very resourceful. And they've been getting a lot of military experience through these proxy militias throughout these wars for the many years that they fought them against the United States. But what we need to talk about is today, there will be no restrictions as of today. And we got to talk about the JCPOA, because remember, Iran has the capability to build a nuclear weapon, enrich nuclear material to a certain point within a couple weeks, they say. What you're seeing behind me here are some of their bunkers for their very large ballistic missiles, their rocket systems that they are developing so that they can carry nuclear warheads if and when the time comes. They have nuclear enrichment at a certain level where at any time, if shit pops off, and this is where things get really scary, because if the Israelis and the Americans think, because there is no more Iranian nuclear deal. I mean, there is surveillance cameras and the IAEA who kind of oversees their program still, but are they showing everything? Very likely not. And the USA and the Israelis know it. They have a certain amount of time to intervene, but the question is, can they even intervene? Because these bunkers are dug so deep that not even bunker busters or possibly even nuclear weapons can take them out. You drop a nuke on Iran, the shit hits a fan right there. But Iran is saying now that their protocol, not saying, but this is open source intelligence analysis, if you will, that Iran's doomsday protocol is the following. Fuel enrichment plant continuity of command in the event of the rest of the country is attacked by nuclear weapons. IR-6 centrifuges would be set for weapons enrichment, and warheads would be assembled for a retaliatory nuclear strike. So the question is, how much enrichment material can they produce in a short period of time? How effective are the delivery systems going to be? I mean, that's a shorter distance. It's not like an ICBM where it's going to be able to gain all the speed of like Mach 20 or whatever those things fly at, 20,000 miles an hour. Pretty much impossible to shoot down. Is the U.S. going to be able to shoot it down? Why is the U.S. positioning ships that are made for that very purpose of not only shooting it down, but detecting worldwide frequencies, command and control of the entirety of their nuclear forces? Something big is going on here, man. I mean, I'm telling you guys, I'm ready to bug the fuck out. I mean, maybe I've just been in the mix too long, but something is just, yeah, I got a feeling this time. I got a feeling this time, man. As of today, there will be no restriction of the transfer of missile-related items, services, and technology to and from the Islamic Republic of Iran. Apparently, some sanctions had expired. Biden just renewed them. But I think this is the end. This is the end of any possible reconciliation between that nuclear deal. That's never going to happen again. I mean, it could, you know, in some weird stroke of... Nobody trusts the United States and Israel and NATO. Nobody. Nobody in their right mind. After seeing what happened with Minsk, nobody trusts the United States. Nobody trusts us anymore. We can't be trusted. And it is what it is. It is what it is. We cannot be trusted. Iran is talking about an oil embargo on Israel. If you have countries starting to embargo countries, I mean, that's one step. That's basically war. You know, it's basically war and embargo. You have your sanctions, your trade war, your embargoes, and you're at war. You're also already seeing Iran call for the expulsion of diplomats. Israel has already called most of its ambassadors and envoys home from its various embassies and consulates. They've canceled their diplomatic missions throughout the Middle East, from Turkey to Amman. I mean, it's over. I mean, Netanyahu's gonna go buck wild, and I don't see how people can't. You know, some people, they just look evil. It's like so obvious that they're evil. It's like, how did they get in that position, exuding such evil vibes, and nobody picked up on it? It almost makes me think maybe half of us are just sadomasochists and we want to be led to the slaughterhouse. I don't know what it is, man, but shit. Who the hell knows? The House Republicans are writing a military authorization that would allow President Joe Biden to strike Iran-backed proxy forces throughout the Middle East if the Hamas-Israel war escalates into a broader regional conflict. Just if. You know, we just have these dozens of our best warships right outside the country that we're about to go war. If it spreads, my God. My God. What hell do they have in store for us now? The IDF is currently doing skirmishes in the West Bank. They're fighting in the West Bank. And this is a problem for Jordan, who has basically said that it will be a declaration of war if they continue to push the people in the West Bank. Mahmoud Abbas is being very, very quiet, biding his time, hoping that he can maintain control over the West Bank. I don't know how much longer that guy has in power, to be brutally honest. Guys, do you want some prepping videos? Do we need a break from this kind of stuff? I got a lot on deck. Maybe I'll start releasing a few, but I fear that tomorrow there's just going to be another big, major flashbulb event that is going to transfix everybody, and yeah. Let's hope for calm. Let's hope for peace. That's all you can do at times like these as a prepper. You know you're as prepared as you're going to be. And when you're as knee-deep in this stuff as I am, which is not to say I know more than the majority of you, it's not even that it's taking its toll on me. It's the futility, the hopelessness in trying to rectify the situation. Like, it's totally untenable at this point in time. And no matter, because even the people I respect the most from an intellectual standpoint are caught up in the divisiveness. It's like nobody can just be apolitical and objective for a moment. And it's scary, scary times. But maybe it's just time I take a little time off. But, you know, the news cycle won't allow me to take time off. Here I am rambling on about something I shouldn't be rambling on about, but maybe this symptom, maybe this is important, because maybe this is part of preparedness. You know, just being able to, and this is not a woe is me, poor me. Feel bad for the children who are buried under rubble. Don't feel bad for me. I don't want to hear any sympathetic comments in the comment section. Oh, Nate, you need to take a break here. No, I'm fine. I'm feeling good. I'm on a diet, so I'm on a calorie deficit, so I'm a little, you know, but everything is, fuck, life is good, man. I cannot complain about shit. But I will say that I do believe that the death by 1,000 paper cuts, the chronic stress of bearing witness, is its own kind of bad. You know, it's a first world problem, but it's its own kind of bad, and its own phenomena of sorts that almost requires psychological inquiry to really understand a bit better. You know, being on this side, is it better to just be in the fight at some point than to be in this position where you can see all this bad stuff happening, but you're not in a position to really directly do something about it? And what do you do? Because what you do is going to be misinterpreted by the other side, so it's going to make it even worse. All we can do is continue to prep, take out our rage on the punching bag and the gun range, and just keep on prepping for when people lose their frickin' minds, which it appears that they are. It appears they are. We're just one major stepping over a red line away from, I believe, armed combat in the streets. We're almost there. Nothing has brought it out like this particular issue. Black Lives Matter, yeah, I mean, that brought it out a little bit, the George Floyd stuff, but something about the religion thing, and because we're so deeply indoctrinated with media about the perceptions of other religious groups, there's something about that that's just innate. There's something visceral, it seems, that runs even deeper, I think, in the US than our intolerance towards various cultural divides and racial divides. There's something about this religious thing that just brings the absolute worst out of people, which is quite ironic when you think about it. All right, guys, I gotta go. Thank you very much. If you don't see me again, well, that means I bugged the hell out. Take care.